Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books, and today I have a review for you of The Eyes of Empire by JCM Berne. This is the fifth book in the Hybrid Helix. It's the end of the first arc, which is called the Platinum arc, which is pretty exciting. This book, I did get an early review copy from Joe, and also I am thanked in the acknowledgements, and I wanted to let you guys know that up front so that you know that this is not going to be a 100% unbiased review. The one thing I would say is, yes, I am thanked in the acknowledgements. However, I'm thanked in the acknowledgements because I shout about how much I love this series, and did not know that was going to happen when I started shouting about and talking about how much I love this series. And the other thing is, yes, I was sent an advanced reading copy for this book. However, it was released on Kindle Unlimited, which is actually where I ended up reading it anyway. So I wanted to read it in Self-Pub September, which is the monthly event that I'm doing right now, which is basically an entire month where I read only self-published books. And because of that, I ended up not reading it until it actually came out, because it came out right at the beginning of the month. So what do you need to know about the Hybrid Helix and about Eyes of Empire? So the Hybrid Helix is a superhero sci-fi series. So the lead character, the protagonist, is called Rohan, and he is kind of a Superman-y sort of character. So he's not as, he's not invulnerable. He can't, go bowling with planets or whatever, but he is able to, he can fly, he can travel through space with just a small oxygen supply. He can, fight other superhumans, he can throw a car, he can tow a spaceship through space, all this sorts of stuff. So basically the concept of Hybrid Helix, and while, just to let you know, this is a no spoiler review for Eyes of Empire, if you have not read the previous books, then I may come across plot or setup spoilers for those books, and I'll have to talk about those in order to discuss the whole thing, to discuss Eyes of Empire. So the setup is that Rohan used to be a soldier, a superpowered soldier in the superpowered army of a galactic empire called the Ildrak. They recruited him from Earth, and basically his option was, you, superhero from Earth, join our super army, or we will conquer Earth. And basically he and a few other heroes from Earth, who were all Ildrak hybrids, so their parents were part of this empire, their fathers were part of this empire. They all basically had to either join up, or Earth would have been destroyed or overtaken, and currently Earth has kind of become this neutral zone where the Empire doesn't go, but the kind of advanced technology has kind of helped Earth a little bit. They've built an entire city in the Sahara and stuff like that. Some very cool stuff going on Earth that we spent a lot of time on in book 2. However, book 5 is set mostly in a couple of places. One, the space station where Rohan works, which is called Wistful. Rohan works as a tow chief. So basically his job is, in order to stop ships from accidentally destroying the station, no ship is allowed to use their engines within a certain radius. And what Rohan does is he flies out and grabs hold of these ships by their towing anchor points, and he tows them into the station. That's his whole job. He basically listens to Bollywood music, flies around in space and tows spaceships, and just has a great time. What happens is that because he is the only superpowered person on the station that works for the station, he kind of keeps getting asked to get involved in stuff. And even though he's retired from the army, and the thing that he had to do to be allowed to retire from the army is pretty terrible and pretty mad, and it's quite a cool story. I won't spoil it for you because I think it is a really good revelation in book 1. But he kind of keeps getting dragged into stuff. So, you know, he fought fought off a vampire. He helped kind of look after a god. Lots of really interesting stuff going on. And in the last couple of books, we've started to get more revelations on a more of an overarching plot that is beyond the kind of empire and rebellion and the neutrality of the station that Rohan works on. Now we're getting to know more of this bigger plot, and this bigger plot basically being that there are kind of old and hungry gods between the stars in the huge open spaces between the populated galaxies, and when if, you know, certain things happen, it could trigger those old gods to wake up and to come into the inhabited parts of the universe to destroy it all. So Rohan is kind of juggling all these things in his head. He's juggling, you know, his job and his life and his friends and his girlfriend, but then also the Empire, which he has cut ties to publicly, but is kind of privately still very intrinsically linked in what's going on there. The rebellion, which it's quite funny because this is like the one sci-fi universe where the rebellion against the evil empire actually is kind of misguided and dumb. I really like how JCM Berne has set that up. And then he's also balancing this kind of old god stuff and his responsibility to, you know, his family and home in Earth. And now being, you know, he's probably Earth's most powerful superhero. So, you know, sometimes he is called in to support on specific things. The other place that this book takes place on is a newly discovered planet through one of the wormholes. So Wistful is surrounded by some ancient wormhole technology, and one of the wormholes leads to a planet that is populated by cat people. And the cat people are discovered in this book by Rohan, and the cat people have a very specific code that they follow the strongest. However, you're only able to fight to see if you're stronger than another person one time. So say, for example, you are, you turn 18 and you're like, right, I want to be the chief of the village. You have to fight your way up the ladder to get to the chief. And some people might, they might be like, no, he's too strong, I'm not going to fight him. But essentially, you climb the ladder one time, and then wherever you stall out, so wherever you're defeated or you decide to stop, you cannot then fight anyone above you, and you can only fight people on their way up in future. So it's really, really interesting concept, and I remember thinking, like, this seems really weird, but there's very clear reasons for it, which come up later on in the book. Trying to work out this time what the kind of mysteries were around the Cat People Society was, I think, really, really interesting. So that was a really good hook that I felt like we hadn't really had as much before. So we had the mystery of, like, why the Cat People Society was set up how it is, and then, like, what's going on with the specific members of the society. You were also introduced to a few new characters that are from that society. So the chief, and then the brother and sister that Rohan is staying with while he's there. I think the sister's name is Katya, which is a little on the nose, but kind of fun. And Leo. So Leo also then has a kind of, he has a relationship which is looked down upon and forbidden with another of the cat men, and that whole setup is quite interesting, and it made a lot of sense in the way that I kind of originally thought it was going to go, because you're like, oh well, you know, that makes sense. Like, you know, it also jibed with the society in Soul Stealer, the tribal society from that book. So having read them very close together, I was like, oh, it's that thing happening again, which I maybe other people won't have that same sort of vibe, but I definitely did, because just, you know, pure chance of going from that one book to the other. Speaking of going from one book to another, why don't we go quickly over to an ad break where we can discuss the September monthly sponsor, Your Paper Quest. Hey, I'm behind this bush, and I'm here to talk to you today about Your Paper Quest. Your Paper Quest is a bookish subscription box where you get 2 independently published books sent to you every single month on a varying genre and theme. Could be fantasy, could be sci-fi, could be horror. These books are selected by the fantastic people at Your Paper Quest, and you don't just get books, you'll also get some bookish bits. You'll get access to a book club where you can talk to other Your Paper Quest subscribers about the books that you're reading together, and also ask questions of the authors. You'll also be able to watch monthly interviews with those authors where they talk about their books. If you're interested in trying out Your Paper Quest, you can do so on a monthly, bi-monthly or quarterly basis. And even better than that, you can get a 20% discount by using the code SAM20 when you check out. So why not sign up today and try out Your Paper Quest? So, major character stuff in this one. The majority of the character time we spend, as with every Hybrid Helix books, is with Rohan. We learn a little bit more about Wei Li and a little bit more about the Ursons, about Aang and Ursula, and we spend some time with the Stones and Void's Shadow and Wistful. But really, I think even maybe more than the previous ones, this feels like really Rohan's book. So I mean, obviously he's the main point of view, he's the protagonist, but a lot of this book, Rohan is kind of separated from his friends on the cat planet, and so a lot of this book is really about him like trying to fit into that society, trying to work out why that society is set up, how it's set up. And I thought that it was really interesting. We also get the concept in this one of the assessors. These are basically incredibly powerful beings who work for the Empire, and they travel around the Empire and assess planets. And if a planet is found to be a threat, that planet is completely destroyed. So this also comes into the kind of B plot, I guess, of the book, which is that the Ildrak have destroyed a planet and the refugees have decided to come to Wistful because she's the kind of the strongest free advanced society out in space. So we have this going on. We also have the introduction of a new hybrid to the cast. I think this book really nailed basically every element that I like about Hybrid Helix. So we got to see some of Rohan's personal life. We got to see his, friendships and relationships grow. There's some really good action in this one. The cat culture being completely, structured on this who's the strongest fighting competition thing ended up meaning that there's a lot of really good fights and action in it, and the one specific fight on top of a volcano I really thought was cool, the way that it was set out and the way that Rohan kind of lets loose there. I like the idea now that we're seeing Rohan almost like at his peak, like he's got his hybrid rage under control, he's got all of this stuff set up. I really enjoyed that. I think that the world of the cat people is very well realized, and it was one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, I feel like I know exactly what this looks like, without going crazy detailed on descriptions and into purple prose and stuff. I felt like I really understood what was going on, and I really enjoyed it. The other thing that I was going to say was, story-wise, I felt like we got a really good payoff as well. So I thought that the book was well written. I do really like Joe's prose style. I think that it's very accessible. If you were saying to me, I want to read a sci-fi indie book, and I've read stuff like Brandon Sanderson, I would be like, say no more. Hybrid Helix is like my number one recommendation for this. So Hybrid Helix is very much like accessible. The story points are really good and strong, and I think that this one in particular, you can see some real growth from the previous books. I feel like Joe really nailed this one. It's funny because I've rated the last couple 5 out of 5s, but I would definitely say this is the best one of all of them. I really liked the piling tension on Rohan. So he feels so he isn't responsible for all these things in many cases, but he feels so responsible. So he feels like he has to protect the refugees. He has to find them somewhere new to live. He feels like he has to, fix the cat people society. He feels like he is responsible for dealing with the assessor, for dealing with the new hybrid that's on the station. We've got all these things piling up, and I think that they all work really, really well. I'm really looking forward to the next book, because it ends not on a cliffhanger. It ends in a really strong place, I think. You could take, your multiple month break here if you wanted. However, Joe has said he is planning to get the next book out before the end of the year. And there's only 3 months left, so looking forward to that one, I have to say. That'd be a nice Christmas present if you're thinking about it. Just saying. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I've said before that this is my favourite self-pub sci-fi series, and it's one of my favourite sci-fi series that I've read. I think that it very specifically speaks to me as somebody who is a big superhero fan, who loves comic books, who also loves Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5, which I feel are heavy inspirations for this book. You can also look at comics and, the TV adaptation of that comic, Invincible, which is, there's a lot of Invincible DNA in this book, or this series. The cat people almost, are they analogous to Battle Beast from the Invincible comics? Who's to say? I liked I kind of was imagining them like Battle Beast when I was reading the book. I'm not a big visualizer when I read books. I just kind of tend to absorb it and go, but I felt like the visual on those characters was strong. And cat people are fun. I'm a cat owner, guys know I love cats. I don't know what the next kind of people is going to be. So we've had bear people, we've had squid people, and shark people, I guess. We have sharks with legs. Are we going to get something else? I want to say, I think insects are the next port of call. I think we need bee people or wasp people. I guess, is that treading on Adrian Tchaikovsky's toes? I don't know. I haven't read those books, but I think that those have spider people. There's also some fantasy books that have wasp people and ant people. I don't know. I'm looking forward to reading those books. They look interesting. But we're not talking about those books. We're talking about Eyes of Empire, which, as you can tell, I really enjoyed and I gave 5 stars. I would really recommend that you read it. There will be a link in the description down below to get yourself a copy from Kindle. I don't think it's an affiliate link. I think that Amazon is upset with me for not selling enough things on affiliate links, so I'm not allowed to do that anymore, but whatever. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please give it a like. If you would like to talk to me about what you've been reading, about this book in particular, or about anything really, if you'd like to check out the Hybrid Helix and would like to ask me some questions, please do so in the comments down below. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're almost at 1,050 somehow. I feel like we hit 1,000 like a week ago. It's probably a month ago, but I feel like it was like a week ago, and now we're already almost 50 more. So if you'd like to join our community here, that would be amazing. The more the merrier. And as always, I'll speak to you tomorrow.